Hello crafty people, Amanda here with Crafting with Amanda, and it is time once again for a Craft with Heart card subscription video series, I should say. So in today's video, I will do the first four cards from the May to August 2022 card set. And here I'm just showing you what comes in the set. You get a small stamp block and the stamp set that has these wonderful words on it. It says thank you in two different fonts: hello friend, happy wedding day, dream big, thinking of you, oh happy day, love you, congratulations, mom, dad, mom, let's party. So the kit comes like as you've seen it in this bright teal fun colored box. And then what I like to do is I'll go through and I'll pull out each of the card bases and I'll pair them up with the die cuts that come in the kit, and then I slip all of those for each card in one of the envelopes. So I'm going to do that off screen, but I just wanted to kind of show you there's two pieces of die cut for each card, and then it has the little border around it of which pieces go with what card. So I just use the instructions and kind of look at it while I do that. Before I do that, because I'll do that off camera, I wanted to show you some of the other supplies that I'm pulling in to use with these cards. If you purchase your subscription for the Craft with Heart cards through me, I send you an envelope full of goodies. So this is a whole bunch of die cuts or Cricut cuts from the Info Bloom collection, and I sent some variety or options for you that you can have it out of this Desert Rose color or also out of Glacier cardstock for those flowers with the outline. And then there's some foliage and one butterfly, and of course there's the film strips that you can use on your project as well. So what part of my process of getting ready to do my cards is I go through my cuts and I'll piece them all together so that I know, that part's all done. And then I go through, like I said, and I'll pair the card base with the die cuts that came in the kit all together. And then these that I do extra, I put on a plate to the side just so that I can choose to add them as I want. And this I just was showing you was a 3-layer flower. So you have your base layer, then you have your leaves that are colored, and then you have your black. And it's actually, I think Harbor is the color I used for the overlay. So I'm just showing you on this first card, I pulled the 2 card bases, and now I'm punching everything out that's in the area marked card 1. And normally I punch these out together, but I wanted you to see that there's 2 sheets that you need to get the punches from. And then I'll just slip all of this into an envelope here, and that keeps it all together. And for me, once they're in the envelope, I'm able to stack them. So this I will turn upside down in a pile, and then all of them go on that. So then when I turn that whole stack over, I have the first card on the top. So here I'm showing you all of the different die cuts that I sent you and all of my kits with each of the card in it. Again, just going to use the 2 colors of the gloss spray, the midnight and the white. And then I did add the clear and the black shimmer brush, and I actually ended up during the process of making the cards grabbing the Desert Rose shimmer brush. So I have put channels or chapters, link. So if you don't want to watch all the different cards, you just kind of want to see what I did with them, if you look into my description under the video, I have chapters, and it'll say like card 3 start and then card 3 reveal. And if you go to all the different reveals, it'll show you kind of the 2 cards side by side. Some of them I did identical to each other with my embellishments, but for the most part I tried to make them a little different. So I hope you enjoy this process. I think at this point I'm trying to make sure that I'm maximizing the pieces that I sent you. I'm loving the feel of that open leaf from the Info Bloom digital collection, and I strongly encourage you just to play with these and make them your own. These are a wonderful kit and a great jumping off point, but these are your cards to do with as you want. This sentiment square with the hearts on it, if I wasn't limiting myself just to make sure that everybody has hopefully close to the supplies that I use if they want to do the cards that I did, but any marker, any colored pencil, anything, I would go back and color in those outlined hearts on the sentiment piece there. And then I'm just auditioning the flowers, or they're not really flowers, they're kind of a berry with leaves, to see if I like that. And I'm gonna steal the leaves off of it because you're not gonna see them anyhow. I'm gonna use those with the open leaves, but the berries I'm gonna tuck back in there and give that kind of accent the glacier that's in the rainbow. And I'm using the foam tape from the inside of a shaker element that I used on a different project. And some people have strong opinions on how much foam tape to use. For me, cards are more of a consumable item. I mean, some people will save them for multiple years, and that's great. But for the most part, they're not something that needs to be as withstanding as a scrapbook album. And I will remind you, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, you have that opportunity now. If the word subscribe is grayed out, you've already done that. Thank you. I truly appreciate that. Otherwise, if it's in red, go ahead and click that button, and you can click the bell as well, and then you won't miss when I post any content. I typically do cards on Tuesdays and then scrapbook layouts on Friday and Sunday. And along the lines, I will have extra hops that I participate in and celebrations that I join in on. There's Makers with Heart. We have that starting on tomorrow, actually. So be sure to come back and check out everybody's Maker with Heart video. And then this Saturday, May 14th, is my 1,000 subscriber hop, and there is going to be a giveaway with prizes, and I will send prizes worldwide if the winners, I'm going to do multiple winners, and you just need to comment on anybody's video that's participating in the hop, and you will get a ticket. So if you comment on my video, you get a ticket into the drawing for a prize, and if you comment on anybody else's video, you get a ticket for that one. And if so if you comment on 4 videos, you'll get 4 entries. Hope that makes sense. So here I'm just gluing down all of these components, and with these hearts, I was silly and I picked them up to put the glue on them to then try to hold these tiny little things in my hands and get them on the card fronts. In the future, when I did the second card, I moved the heart out of the way, put a dot of glue on the front of the card, and then smeared the heart right back over that dot of glue, and it worked beautifully, and it was so much easier. So just gonna put this over my rainbow and capture those leaves. Here's what I did with the second version. I used one of the bigger flowers from the In Full Bloom digital cut, and I took those leaves that I had cut off the berries and added them to the card on the left. So that's card 1 done. So now card 2 has this beautiful dusty rose or desert rose base. So I'll just pull out one of the components, and it's funny, I have to kind of remind myself that I'm trying to do these as a slight modification for the first go round, and then more modified for the second go round. And some of them I got that, and some of them I didn't. And I was having fun creating cards on Mother's Day. I have the ends of COVID right now, so I'm in isolation. So I spent Mother's Day in my isolation room, which happens to be where I'm crafting right now. We're in the process of moving across country, so I've had to tear down my studio, of course. But I have enough supplies on hand that I can have some fun and get in some trouble. So this is how I spent my Mother's Day, is just kind of playing around with these cards. But once again, I encourage you, these are your cards to do with as you wish. If you want to just make them exactly like Close to My Heart has them, great. And then you have all of these extra embellishments to make more cards. So here I'm going to do 2 different varieties of, I did like a slow press on the spray to make it thicker and gloppier. And then on the second card that you'll see, I did just a quick spritz and it was more aerated. So that's what the difference there was. And the gloppier one did take, gloppier, I hope that's a word, did take longer to dry. I had to wait quite a bit of time for it to dry. So I actually assembled the other card first and then came back to this one. And I think that you could move this Hello Friend sentiment square down more. You can just put it so many different places. You could turn this card sideways and have it to the left. So I'm going to encourage you that these are your cards, your projects. Have fun with them. Do what works for you. Use the sentiments that you know that you're going to use, that people will appreciate and enjoy. I have a graduation in our family, so I'm really grateful that in this set was a graduation card. So now we are moving on to card number 3. I really like the Sundance plaid background on the base of this card. It was so bright and colorful, and I don't know, it just made me smile. So I'm trying to look at what the original pattern was and then look at how I want to change it. And this is where, like I said, I was fighting myself the whole time I was creating of, we're doing one kind of like the pattern with, slight modifications or additions of the foliage, and then the other one can be a little more off the rails. So I'm cutting apart these shadowed leaves for the background to go underneath the sentiment piece that came with this card. And then later on, I realized, I don't know why I didn't for the first cards, but I typically like to give dimension to my embellishments. So I do end up finally pinching the leaves so that they're folded in half, which again gives them some nice interest. It's not too thick that it still goes through the mail just beautifully, but it just gives it a little bit of interest. And then I had cut these 2 little tag banner pieces out for the projects, and I wasn't sure where I was going to use them, but I really liked the matching with this card base. So I'm using the Hello Friend sentiment here, and I'm going to kind of align this like it's shown in the directions. You could always add some pop dots underneath this if you wanted to pop it up. For my cards, I try not to get too pop dotty. Some of them I will, but for the most part, I want to make sure that they go through the mail fine. And normally I'll send a letter or a note or, something else with a card. So the less bulky it is, the more goodies I can send with my missives. So there you saw that I was folding those leaves like I mentioned. And I don't know if you noticed when I was putting the glue on that center sentiment piece that I tried to stick with the glue in the center so that when I want to tuck these leaves in, the edges are all loose and they just tuck in there pretty darn easily. So I am such a visual person that I have to slide it in and see if it's going to fit, and then I'll go ahead and add the glue and kind of finalize the project. One more set of leaves poking out of the top there. Again, I'm kind of using that background that's printed as a guide for where to add those shadowed leaves. And here I want to give these printed daisies just a little bit of lift. So I'm just on the very center, pushing it into the foam from the stamp pad. And that just kind of makes it a little bit of a bowl shape. Not truly a bowl, just a little bit, but it's enough to give it some interest. And it, for me, it just adds some texture difference. I kind of wish I have a couple of crimping tools, and they're in with my punches that are buried in the garage and drawers that I was supposed to still have access to, but I currently don't. So I have another month of this, probably 7 weeks of limited craft supplies, and then I will have everything in boxes because we will have moved to Florida by that point. In good news, though, we did find a house. Today was our last day for the inspection period, and all went very well for that. It's a nice, solid house. There's always a few little things that need to be done, but we're very excited. It has a pool, so our soon-to-be 13-year-old is thrilled about that, already looking forward to it. but it does not have a pool heater. So I don't know about him, but I will not be participating in the pool until it gets a little more heat into it. So that'll be a nice thing for us. We enjoy the water and playing, and it's set up in such a way that we're talking about having some sort of a like badminton net, something just real lightweight, or even just a string that we can pull across and have some, pool volleyball, or, with the beach ball volleyball, I think I'll call it. So here I'm just auditioning the different pieces that came with this card. This is card number 4. And I decided I really wanted to have a balance with that glacier from the left edge of the card base to the underneath the tag. And I really like how that kind of draws your eye through the tag. So here I'm going to choose the sentiment, thinking of you, because the tag is big enough. And if it looks like there's something on my block, it was on the top side of the block. I double stack my blocks all the time, and especially since I only have like 3 of them accessible to me, I just like to have my sentiments right on the block, because then I'm less likely to use them. So this is where I grabbed that Desert Rose shimmer brush, and just, on camera it looks like I crossed out the word thinking, but in real life that shows up just fine, and there's no issue. So off camera I added a little piece of black DMC floss. I'm shaping my flowers. If you haven't seen that before, I do have a video series of flower shaping tips and tricks. So I'm just using my fingers and kind of pinching each petal up, and I'm just going to layer these in, trying to balance the color between the glacier and the desert rose and the Sundance, and then also incorporate all of these leaves underneath that set. And I'm kind of going with what the original designer did. So the original designer had the 2 open leaves in the center and the 2 solid leaves on each of the sides. I'm wondering in hindsight if I should have poked one down to the bottom, but this is what I did with the second card iteration, and instead of swiping over the thinking of you, I did just splatter brush with the desert rose. This is how you can connect with me. I do have a Facebook group if you want to come and join in on the fun. Here's another video you may be interested in, and I'll have cards 5 through 9 or 5 through 8 and 9 through 13 in the next couple weeks. Blessings.